Alrighty, so we've got some players to watch for on Saturday, and we'll let the guests go first. We'll go with Bo to start things off for the Bulldogs, and then we'll go with Matt.
Am I just saying one player?
Ooh, let's hear it.
No, am I just supposed? Am I saying? Am I picking one player, or like am I supposed
Oh,
to?
there's any amount. There's no
Okay, I
limit.
mean, I'll start with one, and then I guess we can just go around. But I would say Chris Cole because I think the biggest question in this game is if Georgia's pass rush can get home with four rushers against Alabama at all. Because we've seen Ty Simpson, when he's comfortable and when he's chilling in the pocket, like he's been pretty on the money this season. So Georgia has a huge question about its pass rush. They didn't really get to Joey Aguilar many times in the Tennessee game, and I think of all the guys on Georgia's edge, the guy with the biggest potential to just have a huge game is Chris Cole. He's just the most dynamic athlete. They use him in a lot of different ways. He's been compared to Jalen Walker for his versatility, but I really think his best aspect might be his pass rush ability on the edge. And this just seems like the kind of game where they would need a big performance from him.
Yeah, Bo kind of stole mine, but I'll try to move on here. I think we might have a man crush on Chris Cole, like the potential this dude has. And I think you guys have probably seen the stat that Georgia's defensive linemen have not recorded a sack to this point in the season. So I think if Georgia's going to create pressure, it's got to be from that linebacker group. But mine will probably be, I'll say Nate Frazier, because as big as I would say Zachariah Branch was obviously that guy in the Tennessee game that was the difference maker. I think you're going to need to get a good performance from the receivers, but like we were kind of saying earlier, like the winner of this Alabama Georgia game is the team that runs the ball better. And if Nate Frazier holds onto the football, but if he can get going, he's flashed at times, and I think if Nate Frazier can have a big game, that'll go a long way for Georgia.
Okay.
I like that. I like both of those picks for y'all, especially with you guys keying on the offensive side of things. For the Nate Frazier pick, I was going to pick our running back core. I can't necessarily pick one, being that this is a running back by committee, but I think if you had to have a group to watch, I think it'll be our running back room, especially with Jam Miller being back. I don't think he'll get a heavy load, but what type of looks does he force, and how does Ty Simpson adjust to those? I think the running back room is going to be key to Ty Simpson's success this weekend. Effectiveness in the run game. Alabama's offensive line has surprisingly, if you go back and watch the Florida State game, they were getting a solid push in the run game. The play calling, we got away from the run game way too early. And Ryan Grubb even acknowledged that. So I think if we can get a similar type of energy and motor from this offensive line, the running backs will thrive. We've seen them kind of settle down behind, Jam Miller was the most veteran guy. Out of that room, we saw a lot of eager running, early in the season against Florida State. And I think with Kevin Riley, he just was the most patient runner, and that's who was the most effective. And that's why you see him starting to emerge as kind of RB2. In this running back rotation. So I'm looking for that running back room and that running back rotation to get active on the offensive side. And defensively, the secondary, I think this is going to be a big game for our secondary. One in particular, Bray Hubbard. I think he's going to be your quarterback's menace for this game. The way that we're able to, based off of a lot of the sets that Georgia runs in their offensive sets, a lot of 2 tight end, 3 tight end sets, Bray Hubbard's going to be playing close to the line of scrimmage a lot in this game. He's going to be in the box in that overhang area, and I think it's going to be active. I think it's going to be an active night for him, and I think he's going to be a game changer for us on the defensive side. So running back room and Bray Hubbard, those are like the 2 areas to watch for Bama, in my opinion.
I think that's a good call, because that's where I would be the most concerned. If Alabama's running the ball well, because like I was kind of saying earlier, I think there's a chance that Alabama just has to throw and they can still beat Georgia. So if Alabama's actually running the ball well, I'll be really concerned that this game will be played in the 40s or something.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, Matt, because some guys we're definitely obviously looking for to watch is Ryan Williams and Jeremy Bernard. Those are the obvious ones, but Josh Cuevas, the tight end, he's a guy to look out for. And on defense, Deontay Lawson, because like last year, he dominated against Georgia on Saturday night with Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, and the dog watching the game as well. I mean, like Lawson had 10 tackles with 2 for a loss and a sack last year against Georgia. What's he going to do against Georgia again this year? We will definitely find out and see. But Deontay Lawson, and you mentioned yourself, Coach, Bray Hubbard. I mean, he was player of the week for the SEC for week 3 with the performance he was having against the Wisconsin Badgers. Like he's been a team player all this season. I mean, these guys like are going to be amazing throughout Saturday night.
Yeah, and we probably haven't talked enough about Georgia's offensive line as well. Like the right side of Georgia's O line is a big time concern.
We don't know.
And that's what I was going to highlight too. Kind of looking at Alabama's defensive line. You know, last week was probably the best week as far as completing pressures, but this is a team that's been getting pressures on quarterback. Florida State only dropped back 17 times, I believe, in that game, and they I think they went like 14 of 17 or 9 of 14, something like that. They didn't drop back a lot. So our quarterback pressure rate, it didn't look like it was worth anything in the books, but you saw the type of pressures we was able to create against Wisconsin. They were struggling, their offensive line. And Kane Womack came out this week and said in the post-practice interview in prep for Georgia that the play calling has been a little timid and look for it to be a lot more aggressive. So I think that works in 2 ways. You know, you got a first-year starter quarterback in Gunnar Stockton in his first big game of the season, a conference game that's going to, you know, really impact how this season is shaped out for, you know, I believe for Georgia. This is another test for them at home. And then you got a team in Bama that's out to prove something. They've already taken their lumps early against Florida State, and they got a lot of experience. So their approach to this game might be a little bit more steady than people are expecting. So I think there's going to be a lot to look at that right side, whatever offensive line rotation or combination you have. That's Quay Rusaw's side. You know, that's Quay Rusaw, Yanzi Pierre rotating over there. You see a lot of James Smith coming off from the interior on that side. It's probably the stronger side of our blitz packages when you're talking about getting run fits and blitz accomplished. That's probably the side where you're going to see the most effective pressure from. So it's going to be interesting to watch that matchup.
Oh, indeed, it will be. I mean, because like, were there any other names that we left out for Saturday night's matchup? Because I keep thinking there's a few more that we have not talked about yet.
I mean, I have one for Georgia. I wanted these guys to kind of talk about them. Colby Young seems to be kind of getting a lot more comfortable in that wide receiver core. Big receiver, a veteran presence. Your whole receiving core is veteran guys. That your primary guys are veteran guys. I think the youngest guy like recorded stats right now is true freshman Taylor, number 11, I believe.
Yeah,
so
he was a 5-star coming out.
Exactly. So you got a lot of talent in that room. But Colby Young is a guy that I think can give us problems if we don't have personnel, if we don't match personnel properly, like we've seen our defense do in the past. What are your thoughts about Colby Young emerging?
Yeah, I think he was active against Alabama last year and obviously was the intended receiver on that final interception to end the game. But once, you know, he had the legal situation and everything unfold and he was suspended for the rest of the year, Georgia just lost a complete, you know, one-on-one win jump ball, contested catch, X receiver. They just didn't have that element of their offense at all. They had Dylan Bell out there playing the X, and that's just not really what Dylan Bell does, well, at least. So, you know, yeah, he comes back in this year, and you know they go to him first play of the game, big shot play down the field against Tennessee, 45-yard gain to Colby Young. Like they're comfortable with letting him be the guy make those kinds of statement plays, and I think that is a big deal. I think overall, I was going to say Zachariah Branch for a similar reason, just because I think overall Georgia just has different types of dudes at receiver than they did last year. You know, Arian Smith was a deep threat, and he had that big play threat element to him, but he was mostly kind of a one-trick pony, and he struggled with drops. He dropped a big pass in that Alabama game. So it's just I think Zachariah Branch is just a kind of a superstar kind of player. He's just the guy that moves differently from everybody else. He just hits that top gear a little quicker than anybody else does. And I think Georgia has receivers that can change the game, and they just didn't have that last year.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. Arian Smith is like a home run threat, but he's also like a lottery ticket. Like you don't even know. You're just thrown up there. Maybe you'll catch it, maybe you won't. But yeah, I feel like Georgia's receiving core. That's what I was gonna say as far as more people to watch, because they're just so much different this year. And it's not even like they're a bunch of first round picks. Maybe Zachariah Branch is, but it's not like they're just like elite of elite. This isn't Ohio State's receiving core or anything. But they're just deep with really good players. It's just my prediction coming into the year was that our leading receiver was going to be Noah Thomas, who's A&M's leading receiver a year ago. And I think he has like one catch through the first 3 games this year. So he's hardly done anything. I'm sure that dude, he didn't forget how to be 6'6" and super athletic. Like, I'm sure he's going to make a play at some point for Georgia this season. And then obviously London Humphrey, we haven't even named, who's made the biggest play of the season in that group. But yeah, and Dylan Bell, like Bo said, he was almost just in a bad position a year ago, and he's more of a gadget guy. And I feel like with how deep Georgia's receiving core is this year, he's back to being like the 3rd or 4th option. And I feel like he's a really good 3rd or 4th option. And I haven't even talked about the tight ends. Like, the tight ends are obviously, it's not Brock Bowers, but Georgia always has good tight ends.
Oh, 100% agreed. I mean, I can't wait to see what that offense is going to bring.
I would. Oh, you mind if I want to talk about the matchup, man, because they talked about the depth of the wide receiver room, and I think that's kind of like a strength coming into this season that Alabama was excited about. The veteran presence returning for the secondary. You got a lot of 0-man lock guys in our secondary. I look at the depth chart right now, and I'm thinking about, a lot of these Georgia sets, the tight end splits that you all run. I think this game this year, the secondary has an opportunity to really emerge because you guys are that much more confident in your receiving core. So we're going to see a lot of opportunities for this secondary to be impact players, and this vision coverage usually gets young quarterbacks, in a lot of trouble late in the game when you start running some of those mixed coverages where you got your man underneath and you're rolling robber coverage over top. Keon Sabb is a specialist when it comes to that robber technique, and he gambles, really hard. And sometimes, and if Gunnar Stockton is able to key on that or is not able to key on that, that's gonna hurt Georgia. That's going to hurt Georgia. This team is going to come out. Mike Bobo is going to be under pressure early to establish some momentum, and I don't think he's going to have the patience to do it in the run game. If Alabama's coming out and they come out and tackle effectively, I think that matchup there, the wide receiver against the secondary, and I think Damani Jackson is going to have an opportunity to showcase his first-round talent this year. I don't think Gunnar Stockton is going to shy away from trying any one of these DBs in the secondary. But once again, with Bray Hubbard and Keon Sabb and this one high robber technique that Kane Wommack just continues to run. I think they're becoming a lot more comfortable with their language and communication across the board. And I haven't seen, and y'all can attest to this if you want to, or correct me. I haven't seen any extravagant pass concepts or a lot of things that Georgia do in their passing scheme are still semi-traditional, and them having the better players at those positions this year, it shows that they have better players at this position, because when they had, mid-level guys at receiver or mid-level quarterback production, it showed because of the offensive design So I think this year that matchup will actually be able to expose itself. And vice versa. I think Alabama's wide receiver core, even though young, I think we're a lot more talented. And against Georgia's secondary this year, they've struggled, man. Let's just be honest. Georgia's secondary has not looked like Georgia's secondary, and I think it's due to the youth on the defensive front. It's a lot of young guys in that front that's getting starts, getting impactful minutes, not able to get pressure as you're used to being able to do, and watch your DBs kind of progress through the season as your front is dominated. Georgia doesn't have that luxury this season. Is this the wrong time to be facing a Ty Simpson that's hot and this receiver core that's really building some confidence, this might get ugly for Georgia if they can't get pressure up front. So,
well, there's one guy, I forgot the name from that offense that we've got, Lazier Brooks. Man, he's gonna be fun to watch. Like, it's like can't get to Williams, can't get to Bernard. You can always go to Brooks. Boom.
Yeah, I feel like Jeremy Bernard is the guy that almost gets forgotten about with how much hype Ryan Williams gets. But in terms of what you're saying about Alabama's DBs versus Georgia's receivers, I think that's definitely a concern. Like, I think Bobo gets way too much hate. That's another story for another day. But Georgia in that screen game against Tennessee, I think it was like 11 screen plays for like 125 yards or something.
Yeah.
Like, they were absolutely destroying them with the screen game. Like, Georgia fans love to hate on the screens. It's like, well, they were working a lot, and they also ran a little fake screen where London Humphrey kind of just peeled out instead of blocking, and he ran a wheel route down the sideline. It's like that's set up by just gashing them with the screen game the whole day. But we all know Tennessee was replacing their top two corners 2 weeks ago when they were playing Georgia and starting a true freshman on one of those sides. And Georgia was definitely picking on that true freshman. He was the one that gave up that long play to Colby Young. He was the one that gave up the final touchdown to London Humphrey. So an experienced Alabama secondary, I don't know. Those windows might be a little tighter for Gunnar Stockton in this one.
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see what Brooks will bring on offense. And there's one guy on our offensive line, Jaden Roberts. That's another guy right there. I cannot wait to see more of action from Mr. Roberts for sure.
Matt, Bo, what's your confidence level on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being not confident, 10 being, confident, very confident. As far as defensive line production, do you think Kirby relies on trying to contain the run game with 4 and get pressure on the quarterback with a majority 4-man front play call pressure type look, or do you think he sees early on the adjustments? I just don't think with the front, the lack of depth in that front rotation, to me is a concern for Georgia this year, because that's been their bread and butter the last 4 seasons. So what are your thoughts or your confidence level going into that, and kind of expound on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll get to the rating in a second, I guess, but because I think I gotta talk about it out loud to kind of convince myself of what I think. But I think it's fair because to say that this is not the same level of just set it and forget it as far as send 4 guys and rely on that pass rush that Georgia has benefited from in years past. There's not a Jalen Walker, Michael Williams type of guy on there that you can point at in September and say that guy's going in the first round. And you look at this season, I know it's been, they've played 3 games so far. The only 4 guys on their team that they got 4 sacks, and they're all from inside linebackers. They're all on blitzes, So yeah, Georgia's only sack production this year has been on blitzes. They statistically have not gotten home with those fronts. So I would have to say it's probably at a 3 or a 4, just because, Matt and I were talking about that before the season. We knew that in camp, the Damon Wilson loss was going to really be a big deal. That was really going to be felt. And you're seeing that right now. They're going to have to rely a lot on Gabe Harris. They've relied a lot on, Elo Madozi, who's a late spring transfer out of Army. Then they've got, Chris Cole, who rotates in there sometimes. But aside from Chris Cole, who we do think one day is going to be really good, there are not many guys that you can point to on the defensive line right now and say, I know that's going to be a difference maker on Saturday. It really just kind of happens, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, I think I probably wouldn't go that low. I'd probably go more like a 5, just because I feel like Georgia's floor is probably a 5. We just know how they recruit and everything. It's like they're not going to be bad. But, I mean, what did they give up? 130, 125, 130 yards a game on the ground a year ago? That's the most in the Kirby Smart era, at least since 2018. I think that's the only other year where they were not a good run defense. And you lose, like Bo said, Michael Williams, you lose Nazir Stackhouse. Even Warren Brinson was one of those guys, not the biggest name, but just solid. And so you're replacing a lot of guys, you're replacing them with a lot of, former 5 stars, a Jordan Hall, a Joseph Jonah Janye, So there's obviously those names, but like Christian Miller is definitely the most proven guy. I kind of think he got a little overrated in the offseason. Like people were looking at the side of the logo on the side of the helmet. It's like, well, he's Georgia's best defensive lineman. He's probably first team all SEC. Like he might be, but I don't think he's not that Jalen Carter, that Jordan Davis. I mean, for most just for you Georgia fans to hear this, we're probably never going to have another Jalen Carter or Jordan Davis. Like I don't know. I don't know that you're.
Yeah,
Jalen Carter might be the best defensive lineman in the NFL right now, and they don't make 6'6", 360-pound dudes that move like Jordan Davis.
They've got a kid, Elijah Griffin, who's kind of a freak right now.
That's true, and he is getting Jalen
very
Carter
young.
comparisons.
Very young, and I'm not making any statements about how good he'll be. I'm just saying.
There we go, man.